Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Grieves Show. This is Scott Kerker, and tonight we're joined by Tyler Mason, Luke Hopp, and Cooper Koch. Coach Grieves is not here tonight. He's had a death in the family, and on behalf of the crew here at Redbird Replay, we want to send along our condolences to Danny and his wife, Kim. Danny's father-in-law, Kim's mother, passed away this past week, and we want to send our condolences to them. So these guys have kindly decided to take his place, and we're going to talk a little bit about the more recent games, and then we'll talk about some of the upcoming games. But guys, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's been the last few weeks have really been good. Your team's really starting to play well. I would say earlier in the season, you're still kind of trying to find your ways a little bit, and that's tough to do. There's a lot of different roles, even with guys coming back. The addition of Cooper, a great addition to the team, but it takes a little while to get that chemistry together, and now you're starting to see that a lot more. I thought defensively, especially the last, I'd say, month has been fantastic. Maybe starting with Pekin. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but I thought Pekin game was when you guys really started to play. Then you got on a bus and drove down to Springfield the next day and played a really good O'Fallon team. We'll start with you, Luke. I thought your game also has really turned around, and you've really started to assert yourself. It helps when you got two big guys in the middle, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think, kind of like you were saying, I think it took a little bit for us to get in the groove with new rules and adding Coop and stuff like that. But once we started really, I think, honing in on our defense and figuring that side of the ball out, the offense just really started taking care of itself.
Mason, Tyler, I think with you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get a lot of scoring, a lot of defense, a lot of big plays. But last year, you had a little bit of help with Drew Tucker bringing the ball up. I thought that once Matthew Zobrist started getting confident of handling the ball, that's really when your game has started to take off. And I think for you, it started against Limestone. Big 41-point game that night. And since then, the points have just been coming in bunches.
Yeah, I mean, that all comes from my teammates. They're all getting me open looks, And I think everybody's starting to figure out their roles in the game. And everybody's got new roles this year, especially me. I mean, I'm the one. I don't have Drew this year to bring the ball up with me. And having Matthew is a key.
Yeah, and now that he's starting to play real well, I think that part of the game is really starting to come around. Hugh Cooper, I thought defensively, it's been a little bit of adjustment, but I think that has really turned around, and the defense as a team, the team defense has really started to kind of come around. No one has ever, said anything bad about the effort. The effort's been phenomenal this year for you. And now the scoring's really starting to take off. One of the things I've noticed, early on is you have both an inside game and outside game. Yeah. People may not realize just how good of a three-point shooter you are, and the ones that do probably don't realize how good of an inside game you have. Mm-hmm. And part of that is that something that has kind of started to kind of come around since you moved to Metamora, or is that something you've always had?
I think it's something I've always had, but playing along these guys that give me open looks, it makes it a lot easier to showcase those skills.
Yeah, and I think defensively, all of you guys, and it doesn't matter if it's the three of you and Matthew and Ashton Greaves or Nick Walker, you guys have all defensively, because let's face it, that's kind of where your game has started. The games have started to kind of turn around, in the fact that you kind of feed off what you guys do defensively. And I think that, again, we go back to the Pekin game where you guys just basically shut them down. I believe Hess had a really big first half. Second half, I think he held him to 4 points.
Yeah.
And from that point on, the defense has been fantastic. You went down, you played a really good O'Fallon team. What was the key to winning that game? It was a 1-point game against a really, really good 4A school.
It's got Metamora game plan A. We always got to stick to that, and if we play our game, they'll beat us.
Yeah, and I agree. Cooper, are you feeling more comfortable getting your shots and where your shots are going to come from?
Yeah, I definitely am. through the offense, everybody gets open shots. And if you run it, you should get the best shot possible. And if not, there will be another second best shot. But I feel that with my teammates finding me the ball, that any of us could hit open shots in.
And Luke, I think your offense has really been a big key. The fact that both of you guys at 6'8" can step outside and hit threes, that's got to make just for a defense, for another team, that's got to be really hard to defend you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, having 2 6'8" guys really makes it easier. Having him alongside me and then him having me makes it a lot easier. And I mean, it's kind of a pick your poison with our team. We've got so many different weapons we can hit you with.
You went up to Chicago. That had to be a little bit of a. I don't think the people in Chicago up in York, maybe their athletic director, maybe their coach, but I don't think anybody up there realized that Metamore was going to be able to come up there and play as well and get as far as you guys did. I mean, do you think that was a little bit of a surprise to them?
I definitely think it was. I mean, everybody was doubting us all the way through that tournament, and we just proved to all of them that no one can play with us if we play our game.
Do you think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were mostly 4A schools? I don't know, maybe you guys have played against some of the guys that you played against up there, but do you think that some of the fact that some of those schools maybe didn't even hear of you guys before, and you went up there and maybe a little bit of the element of surprise?
That might have been part of it. I also think that our defense really stepped up.
Yeah.
Holding teams to 38 and 50 points, that really helps us when we have guys that can score the ball, like all 5 of our starters.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. None of you guys are afraid to score when you guys are given the opportunity, and all of you guys have stepped up. I think in that tournament you played 5 games. You had 4 different leading scorers. I think you might have been the only one that led the team in scoring 2 games. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Other than that, I think you guys all had different leading scorers.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think that the defense has, that was the key to winning those games up there. The other thing that I thought was really good was the unselfishness. There was one game up there, I believe, you hadn't scored a point in the first half yet. You came off a pick. You had a nice shot at the top of the key, and you saw Luke cutting towards the basket. And instead of taking the shot, you dumped it down to him and got an even better shot. And we were doing the game up in the stands, and a lot of the fans were like, "Man, that is the most unselfish team we've ever seen."
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of unselfish play that's been a key to you guys' the surge you guys have had here lately.
Yeah, sure. Coach always says, good, better, best. He's always talking about the shots. We always got to keep making passes and keep making plays to get other guys open shots so we can all knock them down. All 6 of our, top 6 can all score 20 on any given night. So we always got to find the open man, and we'll trust him to knock down the shot. Yeah,
I don't think you guys have been afraid to pass the ball to anyone that's out on the floor. And we've seen everybody, every player that has played so far has, felt the freedom to take an open shot wherever that may be. And I think that is a big key to your success. You played Hansberry the first game, a pretty a Chicago school, but you guys got off to a quick start. You led the way early. I think you had 17 points the first quarter.
Yeah.
Got us off to a good start. The basket had to look like the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my teammates were just finding me and getting me open shots, and being able to hit some shots early really helps you play well the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and I thought so too. And then you weren't afraid to get some of the other guys involved in the scoring. I think you ended up with 20 points probably. So that was nice. But at that point, then they were trying to find out which one. Pick your poison. Who do you guard? There was 5 guys that were scoring buckets. So that had to be when somebody gets into a role like Cooper was in that first game. Do you guys just come down and automatically look for him, or is it just part of that offense where he just happens to be the guy getting the open look?
I always say feed the hot hand. If Cooper's open, we're going to pass it to him, and if he doesn't shoot it, we'll probably get mad at him because he's got 17 first quarter points. But that's just what I've always said. If there's a hot hand, it's going to be feed him.
Yeah, and that was for sure. What was going on that game. The second game, I believe you played. Was that Fenwick? Your second game. And they were a very athletic team, and I thought they came out and played a little physical with you guys. And I love to see that because teams have tried to be finesse with you guys this year, but not many teams have tried to be finesse and physical. Was that something new?
I think all the teams that we play get pretty physical sometimes, but I think it was definitely more physical down that tournament. I think we played were all physical with us.
And that was really good for us. I think that's going to really pay off as we continue to go through the season of like seeing teams like that really trying to beat us up down low, beat up our guards as we're bringing it up. It's just going to make us better.
The physicality was really different compared to like the middle R9 teams, and I think it'll help us down the road, like in postseason.
Were they trying to? It seemed at times they were trying to focus on you and stopping you. Was I right seeing that?
I would say you're right, but that's just going to create more problems for them because then they have to stop the rest of the 4 guys using only maybe 3 defenders because they're using 2 to stop me, which that just works in our favor.
Yeah, I thought so too. You came away with, I believe, a 6-point win in that game, 6 or 4. I can't remember which one it was. And then you played a bowling. No, it was Glenbrook South team. Another physical, athletic team that tried to get you off your game too by being physical up front. Maybe not as much as it was the next game, but in that game I thought they tried to stop you, and the balanced scoring was phenomenal. I think you guys came out, and I think didn't 3 of the starters hit threes in the first quarter in that game.
Probably,
And that's a great way to get started because then they don't know who to guard. But I thought that in that game too, defensively, you really clamped down. They had some guys that could score, and you guys clamped down and made them play to your tempo, and that's also a key to winning basketball games.
Yeah, when we needed to get a stop, we got to stop. That's key in winning games. When you need defensive stop to get them.
And us controlling the tempo too, kind of like you said, like we'll run when we need to, but when we need to slow it down, we're able to control the pace of the game.
That's the other thing too is when you guys run, I really feel that's almost playing into your game when teams try to run with you. They think, oh, these guys are going to want to play a half-court offense, and you guys run a pretty good half-court offense. But I think when you guys make your spurts, it starts with the running game. When you guys can get out and run a little bit, that kind of gets you guys into a little bit of a groove.
Yeah, our transition points is always key. When we're going on runs, we're in transition, we're running up on the court, and our transition game is just great, and that's what gets us points.
Then you played what I thought, I know that Bolingbrook took you guys to overtime, but I kind of thought that Downers Grove North was the best team you guys played up there. Their guards were incredibly physical with you.
Yeah.
And they were quick, they were strong. Were they the strongest team you guys have played all year physically?
Yeah, I think so.
Physically, they probably were, yeah.
Because they had some guys that looked like maybe they played a little football. I think they made it the 8A championship game in football.
Yeah.
And I think some of those guys might have played a little football because they definitely found the weight room. But they were big and they were strong. But down the stretch, when you're as fundamentally sound as you guys are, you guys made the plays when you had to make them, and the other team, all they had to do was make one mistake, because down the stretch you guys made all the right moves, and I think that has a lot to do with the character of you guys and your teammates and the coaching staff for making sure that you know what to do at the end when the game's on the line.
Yeah, the execution at the end of the game is always key, because if they make a mistake, we're going to make sure they pay for it. We're always going to get a bucket off their mistakes or off their turnovers, whatever they do, and make sure they pay for it.
We really started on the defensive end because I think that first half we held them to 19.
Yeah.
I think, and so I think that was really big for us because going in the second half, we had kind of figured out their game, and then we turned it up on the offensive end and were able to win the game.
We held their best player to 3 points, so that's going to help. Because then you got to make the role players and secondary players score, which they're not used to.
Yeah, and I have to apologize to you, Tyler. I gave Ash to Grieves, and he did play a nice game of defense, but you were the one that shut down, what was the Jack Stanton.
Yeah.
I think he had 3 points, and the stats had him for 10 shots. I watched that game again. He didn't come anywhere close to 10 shots.
Yeah.
That's rough the whole tournament.
Yeah.
It was key for him not to get hot, because if he got hot, then I mean that would be almost game over. Right?
Yeah.
He's a great player, and you know, the key was not to let him shoot. Like, get open shots early.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, that you're right. That was a key. And then, you know, when he gets hot, then that's kind of how their whole team rolls, and they just kind of feed off of that. And other guys get open shots, and you never let them do that. And at the end, when they tried to make plays, you guys prevented them from doing it.
Yeah, our defense definitely picked it up in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, because we had a little lull in the third quarter and they kind of took the lead, got back in it. But in the fourth quarter, we got stops when we needed to, and then we got buckets on the offensive end when we needed to.
Yeah. That tournament was kind of the opposite for us, because early on in the season, our offense was really good and our defense really wasn't. In that tournament, at times I felt like our offense kind of struggled, but our defense was pretty consistent throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and they yeah, you're right. The defense kind of kept you in a few of those ball games, in spots in those ball games. But you had enough offense to win the games. And when you needed points, one of you guys always seemed to get a big bucket. And I thought that was key. And then it sets you up for that championship game against Bolingbrook. And I'm going to tell you, one of the best freshmen I've seen in a long, long time. He was good. He seemed to, you know, he connected on just about every one of those mid-range jump shots. And he seemed to kind of, you know, he got a lot of friendly rolls, got a few friendly calls, but that's fine, I guess.
Found a way to score.
Yeah, he was awfully good. But, you know, you guys got into foul trouble. And the thing that just impressed me so much is when you fouled out with about 2.5 minutes to go in the ball game, something like that.
Yeah.
You're down 4, and you guys found a way to get it to overtime, and then in one of the easily the biggest shot, would you say, of the year so far?
Yeah.
You hit from about 3.5 feet behind the line.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt you got it and you shot it. And, man, it looked good from the get-go. But you still had 4.8 seconds, I believe, to play defense. And, you know, and Thompson still took a pretty decent shot.
From where I was, I thought it was going in because it started heading for the backboard, and that's usually the best shot or the best chance he has of making it. It goes for the backboard.
Yeah, from the side, yeah.
Just strong enough that it went long.
I thought they were going to call a foul, honestly.
You know, I wouldn't have been shocked
Yeah.
had they not called a foul. But, you know, it was good defense. I thought Matthews Obers kind of bodied him up. He didn't really prevent him from going anywhere. He just stayed with him and forced him to shoot a really tough shot.
Yeah, that was a great contest.
And but I thought, you know, the rebounding too is the other thing. I think, you know, in the one game, I think it had you guys both. Was it the Downers Grove North game? They had you guys both for 22 rebounds. That wasn't close either, because I thought you guys had close to 35 to 40 rebounds in that game. You out rebounded them by a lot.
I would think so. I know Luke and I combined for at least 16 rebounds.
The minimum.
We both had 8 that game, I'm pretty sure.
And you know, Ashton Greaves had a couple of big rebounds for you. And I contest that we have the best rebounding guards in maybe the state. Because nobody gets more rebounds than you and Ashton Greaves and Matthews Overs. You guys get a ton of rebounds, and not many other schools send their guards in to get rebounds.
Matthew did a great job boxing out to it, as did Tyler and Ashton too. That makes our job a lot easier when they're crashing, when they're boxing out, and we can all get aboard. So.
Yeah,
Coaches are always preaching box out and go get a rebound, and that's what we do.
yeah. And that was key to that game. Not many second shots for any of the teams in Chicago, and you know, it was a couple good things in that tournament. It was good to see Matthews Overs kind of get off the schneid and see the basket, or see the ball go through the basket. I believe in the was it the Downers Grove North game that he had 15 points.
Yeah.
And big points for you. Hit some big threes in the second half. Had a couple of nice drives to the basket.
He took over that third quarter.
Yeah. And you guys kind of needed that.
Yeah.
Needed that boost a little bit. And because, you know, the three of you have been scoring a lot of points. You need that other guy, or maybe even Ashton Greaves somewhere, to step in there and get some points too, because the more guys that you have scoring, the tougher it is for these teams to guard you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice seeing Matthew come out like that, and it was really nice seeing him score those points in crunch time because that's what he needed. Without Matthew, we might have lost that.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, all those games, crazy entertaining. The ratings we got on TV were amazing. It's crazy how many, and it was nice to see how many people made it up for that championship game from Metamora to come up and watch the game live. That was pretty nice too. Nice crowded gym.
It's a great atmosphere at the championship.
It was a big gym that had a lot of fans, and you guys didn't disappoint at all, man. That was a huge game, and it's just a mid-season tournament. But man, it sure is nice to win those, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
is. Yeah.
It really shows us what we're capable of as a team, and that's what we need to do if we want to advance the season and make it as far as a state tournament.
We still had way too many turnovers throughout that whole tournament. We were still turning the ball over way too much, and there's still a lot we can improve on. That's the exciting part.
But you don't want to be peaking at Christmas anyway.
Right.
There's a lot of games to be played for you guys to keep getting better, and I think you will, because Coach Grieves, before the season started, we had a pregame show right in here, and he goes, there's going to be games we don't look good, and there's going to be games that we maybe lose because we're just not ready yet, but the ceiling is so high and these kids are so good that by the end of the year we'll be there. And he goes because our schedule is tough, and let's face it, you guys are playing. It's got to be one of the toughest schedules in the state.
Definitely.
And it's crazy. And he said you guys may have more losses than last year and be a better team, which is crazy to think about, but it very well could happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think this team definitely has a higher ceiling than last year's team, but it's going to be harder this year coming off of a state championship, and the target's even bigger, adding Cooper, having a lot of returning guys. But as long as we keep, progressing the right way, getting 1% better every single day, doing the right things, the sky's the limit for us.
Yeah, it's so far it's been a great run, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been exciting, and I've gotten a lot more gray hair watching these games, but the good part is you guys have come out on top on just about all of them, but and then that's perfectly fine. But why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about your upcoming games.
Central Illinois, you asked for it and we listened. Germantown Grill is growing to meet customer demand, adding more dining space and a private gaming area featuring games powered by Gold Rush, the gold standard in video gaming. And Germantown Grill still has all the food and spirits that keep our customers coming back. Stop by to check out our daily specials. The game's on at Germantown Grill, where Central Illinois loves to eat. Open 7 days a week, just off Route 116.
Welcome back. Before we go on any further, I want to thank the Grill, Jake Atkins, and everybody here for allowing us to do the show from here at the Grill, and they've been very accommodating. This week you have East Peoria at East Peoria, and then you hit the road and you go down to Highland and play a really tough Harvey Thornton team. Morez Johnson, I think he's the #1 ranked player in the state.
Yeah.
And you're going to Illinois, and your work's cut out for you. But these are all games that you have to play to get better, to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, the teams that we play in the upcoming schedule are really tough, and we're going to have to really persevere through those games and try and win them. But it's all about coming out better than on top, We're trying to get better from these games, and they're preparing us for the postseason. It's
like Tyler said, that's exactly what our team needs. We don't need to just have a bunch of blowout games. We need to be tested. We need to get better.
Yeah, and I think that's been the case. And then you turn around next week, and I believe the following Monday you go to ICC and play Chicago Orr.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Another tough Chicago team that's going to be athletic. They're going to be tough, and they're going to test you.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those games that you're going to have to play well to win and get better.
Yeah.
You also play, I believe it's the 27th the 27th of January. You play maybe the toughest team you play all year in normal community. I believe they go 6'10", 6'10", 6'9", and 6'7" or 6'8".
Yeah, they're definitely the tallest team in Illinois by far. So we got to really rebound that game.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent too. They got a couple guys going D1, a couple guys with D1 offers. So it'll be a tough team to beat.
When you look at your season to this point, have you guys been able to accomplish the things you've wanted to accomplish to this point?
I think we have accomplished a lot this season. Probably not as much as we want. I mean, coming off a couple losses, some tough losses, and I think if we went back and played those games again, we'd come out on top. But obviously we can't do that, but I think we've accomplished a lot so far this season.
I mean, I think we definitely all think we could still be undefeated right now had we, not beaten ourselves in those games, and circumstances would have gone a little bit differently. But we've definitely used those games to learn and get better from.
We've had a lot of close games, so we could be like, what do we have, 3 losses? We could have 6 losses if we don't play as well as we did in the games up in Chicago and some of the games in Springfield. But we did, and we're at 3 losses, and I think we can get better.
Don't you think, though, that the 3 losses kind of taught you some things, and maybe had you not gotten those losses, you wouldn't have known how to win in Chicago?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's the case, 100%, because without those losses, we wouldn't learn from those losses, and I think we learned a lot from losing those games, and we've been better than we were last year.
We needed that loss to Morton specifically too. I think that really was a wake-up call for us, and I think since then that was kind of we used it as a turning point this season for us specifically, defensively and just fine-tuning everything.
I think those teams got us at the perfect time, right at the beginning of the season. Our chemistry isn't 100%, and if we were to play them again, I think we'd have those wins.
When you look at where you're going, are you pretty happy with how things have progressed and how your team has improved? Because I'll be honest with you, I agree with you. I think that if you were to play those teams now, it's a different story.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's 100% the case too. And if they play us, we're winning those games no matter what, because we learned from our losses from them, and we're even better now. Our chemistry after Chicago is through the roof, and I think that just makes us even better.
And we still didn't play our best basketball in Chicago. We had some good moments, but there's still a lot of stuff we got to get better at, and obviously it's still only about halfway through the season, so the fact that we still were able to go win the Jack Tosh, considering all those turnovers, all the things we still have to do to get better, is encouraging.
In those losses, we also didn't have Matthew at 100%, so having him back helps us a lot. And we're looking forward to the games this week, but we definitely have that Morton game at home, certainly.
And that's nice. And I would probably say that that your coach game is not real happy about the loss over at Morton.
No. He's been hearing it nonstop. He works there.
Yeah.
But hopefully, and I think he'll get his revenge here at the end of January. And I want to thank you guys for coming out here tonight and being here in place of Coach Grieves. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
That'll do it for the Danny Grieves Show. We'll see you Thursday night in East Peoria.